All right, I want to talk about Moses and the law. Some of this may be repeat information. I don't know. I'm just stoned and I want to talk. Um, but let's start with Sodom and Gomorrah, the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah. Now, the sins of Sodom and Gomorrah are that they wanted to put hands on the angels, right? And so this is indicate this is a legal. These are legal words, right? This idea of putting hands on another is wrong. That's a crime, right? We do not put hands upon one another. Um, and you could see this in a less civil or criminal way, and you can also see this in someone who wants to control another. They want to put hands on them. A narcissist puts hands upon their victims, right? But this is a hateful man. Obviously we would all think about that when we think about putting hands upon. But um, you could say that sometimes a coward may put hands on someone else by uh, giving a sympathetic face, right? Um, you could say that, hey, that's manipulation. Um, yeah, no, so this is psychologically and emotionally putting hands on someone else, right? Through many different forms, sometimes through guilt or this or that. But I mean, this is the crime of the Sodom and Gomorrahites. And Moses believes in wisdom. So um, he's not gonna tell you all this. You have to figure it out for yourself. Um, but it's clearly there. Putting hands upon another is being condemned. But he wants to kind of distract you with anal sex, right? And he's really making fun of the fool, the man who doesn't have wisdom. So he's purposely trying to tempt you into foolery. Um, but for him, wisdom is something that should be earned. It's a part of the personal relationship, the intimate relationship. Wisdom is a virtue. It can't be handed to you through a text. Um, but I think if we look at this, if we look at Sodom and Gomorrah in this light, we would see that Moses is a man of freedom, right? He is a man of definitely a man of freedom. We should not be putting hands upon one another. Um, now I was in California, and there was this guy who owned land out in the desert. He wasn't in any city areas, and he built a castle on his lands. And the government came down and they tore his castle down. Um, and no one stuck up for this man. Um, but these are laws which put hands on an innocent man for doing something that is innocent and not a crime. Right? These are laws which, so you could think about putting hands in this way, right? There are laws which are not real laws, according to Moses. Laws which put hands upon innocent men for doing things which are not crimes are bad laws. right? But then there's some intrigue, right? Because the angels end up putting their hands upon Lot and his family. And Moses immediately has to justify this. He says they do it out of mercy, right? So, and that's exactly what Moses does to his people. He puts his hands upon them. And he does so out of mercy. Again, like I just said, this is a man who believes in freedom. So he drags them out into the desert and he starts to teach them crafts. We know that Moses knows a lot about crafts. He starts to, you know, force them to be more rugged, you know, and less Egyptian effeminate. I mean, he's changing their behavior when he takes them out there. So he's putting his hands upon them so that when he dies, they'll be self-sufficient, they'll be free, they'll be strong. Like he's building them up. He's putting his hands upon them and building them up. And so this distinction is really the distinction of what a rabbi can do. But this is not a rabbi who's going to micromanage the lives of their family or the lives of their people. That would be a bad putting hands upon. Not a good putting hands upon. I mean, Moses let the people deal with their own justice. He just dealt with the law. Right? And he's not in charge. They're not in charge. The law is in charge. We're not supposed to put hands upon another. Do 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 do. So, yeah, no, I definitely see in this, definitely a legalism that is about freedom. I do believe that Moses would agree with innocent until proven guilty. Mama. So, where do I want to go from here? The law. The law. Okay, so what do we see when we're looking at this law stuff? We see Moses talking about insects, I think. Like he's making laws upon insects. So, what's happening here? What's happening is that, first of all, Moses is a very learned man. He knows a lot about a lot of things. He's learned. And so we know that he knows about insects and marine life. And so his laws are really based upon the knowledge that he has gathered. From his own investigations and that of others of his day. If his knowledge were different, then his laws would be different. Right? But they would still be the same, right? Because this is Moses who wants his people to be strong. So these are health laws. You know, the pig is not a metaphysically evil creature. The pig can be cutely stubborn. No. Or terrifyingly stubborn, maybe. So, I mean, like in one of the prophecies it says in the future, the laws of God will be written on the hearts of the Jews. Right? And that's exactly what happened with Moses. Moses has a love for his people. And in his insect research, he's learned some things. And he's gonna make some health laws, right? I speculate on the pig, and my speculations are that um, the pig can be uh, a potential source of disease for the community, depending on how you raise it. Now, you could make laws saying that you have to raise pigs in a certain way, but Moses knows human nature, right? Moses knows that there's the law, and then there's the law, right? And so all it takes is that one man who raises a pig badly, and now there's potential for disease in the community. So Moses, because of the stubbornness of the few and the unrighteousness of the many, is going to just say, hey, no pigs. That's my speculation. But, I think Moses would really enjoy bacon. I do. Um, that is where the laws are coming from, right? Moses, it turns out, is not Gandalf. Moses was a man just like you. And his laws comes from a desire to strengthen his people, right? Which is exactly what Abraham did with his 300 men. Like, these were 300 badass men, right? So Abraham takes men in and he builds them up. And that's what Moses was doing with his people. And then what else do we see? We see these long, boring passages about all this stuff. Oh my goodness. But what's happening here? Moses is revealing to us that he is a craftsman, is he not? Like, this is a builder. He's a fucking mason. Okay, he's also a metalsmith. He's a metallurgist. Today we would call him a Renaissance man, right? But any man today is capable of learning multiple crafts, right? I mean, the craft has been taken away, and it's always really been taken away and held by the few. Um, but Moses was obviously taking his people out, and he was teaching them crafts, right? So when they went out there, they could take care of themselves. If they needed some butter, they could make some butter, or cheese, or cream, or leather, clothing, right? They could build their own stuff. He was also killing off the wicked Jews. We see this with the golden calf, which was a setup, right? Because the God of the Torah is a searcher of hearts. And that's what Moses was doing, right? Moses and Uliab created the golden calf. And then Moses, hint, 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 wink, 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 went away. But he didn't, right? He went into a dark little corner and he observed. And when they worshipped the golden calf, his men went in there and they laid down, death. So he was testing them, right? This is Moses and Uliab the metallurgists. And those that failed Moses' test, right? I mean, this would be innocent until proven guilty, right? You're either quick or you're dead. That's that moment. And he tested them. He's like, hey guys, I'm going away. And then boom, the golden calf gets brought out. What's going to happen? And this was after several teachings and several warnings. This wasn't just out of the blue. All of the people killed were probably on his list. In the Torah, they like to make lists. But, I mean, we can clearly see that this is where the law is coming from. The law is coming. Moses is a man just like you guys are. The law is coming from his knowledge. Right? The laws of Moses were written on his heart. You know, God doesn't change. The conversation will always be unique and intimate. Or should be. Which is why Moses hid all this information. Because none of you deserve it.